I want to show you something that was handed out today at a city council hearing. This is a taxpayer-funded comic book produced by the New York City Department of Education. Now, before anyone jumps to conclusions, let me be very clear. I have no problem with people knowing their legal rights, none. Whether you're talking about immigration law, housing law, labor law, consumer rights, or interactions with government agencies, people should understand the laws that affect their lives. That's not what concerns me. What concerns me is that once again, the city of New York seems to have plenty of money for glossy publications. By the way, this was not the only comic book that was sent out. This is the only one with the mayor's picture on it. But we got this one, we got this one, all from Civics for All. What concerns me is that once again, the city of New York seems to have plenty of money for glossy publications, PR campaigns, and political messaging, while parents and taxpayers are constantly being told that resources are stretched thin. As I sat through today's hearing, I couldn't help but wonder, how much did this cost? Who approved it? How much staff time went into creating it? How much did the design work cost? How much did the printing cost? How much will the translations cost? And perhaps most important, what other priorities were put on the back burner while government employees were working on this project to put the school's chancellor and the mayor on the front page of a comic book? These are fair questions. The Department of Education's primary mission is to educate children. At least that's what it's supposed to be. Parents are worried about reading scores. They're worried about math scores. They're worried about chronic absenteeism. They're worried about classroom discipline. They're worried about school safety. I'm a parent. I'm concerned about all those things. They're worried about making sure their children graduate prepared for college, prepared for careers, and just prepared for life. These are the things I hear from parents on literally a daily basis. What I don't hear is parents saying, you know what schools really need? More taxpayer-funded comic books with the mayor and the school's chancellor on the front and back cover. Who, by the way, I don't see your favorite council member anywhere in this comic book here. So here's what really caught my attention. Again, not to be redundant, the mayor featured prominently in this publication. Again, ask yourself why. If the purpose is simply to provide information, why does a politician need to be front and center? Because that's where many New Yorkers start asking an important question. At what point does public information become political messaging? At what point does taxpayer-funded education start looking like taxpayer-funded promotion? You know, we're not even allowed to put out a newsletter if it's too close, we being council members, too close to an election. Those are questions that should concern people regardless of whether they're Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, liberals, or independents. Government belongs to all of us. Taxpayer dollars belong to all of us. Public schools belong to all of us. And whenever government agencies spend public money on materials that appear designed not just to inform, but to shape a political narrative, scrutiny, I think, is very appropriate. I don't think that's anti-immigrant in the least. I don't think that's anti-student in the least. It's not anti-anybody. It's just pro-accountability. And as a member of the City Council's Finance Committee, I believe taxpayers deserve answers. How much was spent? What was the procurement process? By the way, there was a whole bunch of questions the speaker put to the chancellor on the procurement front today, as did the finance chair, Linda Lee. I'll have more to say on that in the future. Who signed off on it? And what metrics will be used to determine whether this was a worthwhile use of public funds? Those are the kinds of questions I'll continue asking. Because in a city facing enormous challenges, every dollar matters. Do we need more dollars spent on a comic book with the mayor and the school chancellor? I would argue we don't. New Yorkers deserve a government that spends money on educating children, improving services, and solving problems, not one that leaves people wondering whether their tax dollars are being used to advance a political message. So I'm going to keep looking into this. I'll keep you updated. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please share if you dare.